I'm Ariana with Fresh Pair of Eyes. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, and nice to be talking to you. How are you?
I'm great. So, how did you go about deciding the order of how you were going to kill people? Because I'm sure it could definitely shift the story about if you killed someone in a different order.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the deaths happen because for a reason. There has to be a reason why a certain survivor of this air crash has to go when he or she goes. And if I give you an explanation for that, it will spoil the surprises, and also it'll reveal too much of the ending. But by and large, it was. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to plot it. I sort of, as I was writing it and going through the episodes, I sort of knew each time who was going to be next. And a lot of it was just down to sort of happenstance of where that person happened to be at a certain time, and that made them the target, the obvious target.
Yes. There's some horror elements in the show as well. Like the murderer has, that kind of classic hood and all of that. Why did you decide to have those kind of elements within the show?
Because I'm well known, I think, for more genteel, more English, some people call my work cozy crime. I don't particularly like that description because I don't think that's what I write. But even so, I am very well known. Even if you go back to Midsummer Murders, which I wrote a long time ago, or Agatha Christie's Poirot, I'm known as somebody who is quite genteel, quite civilized. I wanted to show there was another side to me, that I could write something that was really going to be sort of on the edge of real horror, and where the deaths were going to be pretty sort of shocking, and that it would mix genres, if you like, and do things I'd never done before.
Yes. How do you approach writing TV compared to when you're writing novels? How's that approach different, but also the same?
I try to write fairly so that you can guess what is actually happening. Although I think people will be very, very surprised to learn why all these murders are taking place. What my show is, this Nine Bodies, is not just a whodunit. It is much more a why done it. Why is this happening? Why are all these people being killed? And I just have a great belief in sort of, as my job is to reach out of the book or out of the screen, grab hold of people by the throat, and not let them go until the show is over. That's how I see my job, and that's what I try to do.
Yeah, I appreciate being fair about it because sometimes when you watch a show, you're like, okay, how would I have known that? It's nice to be fair, as in, like, okay, if I rewatched it or if I'm paying enough attention, I could have figured it out. But
I
it's
think
not like an easy
playing fair
guess.
with the audience is the most important thing of all. This show is different because there is no detective in the middle of it, so there's no one sort of leading the pack to sort of give you the answers to the questions. But even so, as a spectator, you should be able to sort of have a good guess as to what is really going on. And as I say, there is a shock in episode 6, which I hope will make people jump out of their seats. But I think that some people might just, not many, I hope, but some people might have guessed it was coming.
Okay. Which character would you want to be trapped in the jungle with? Just one.
If I could be, well, that's a very difficult question because if I answer you, I may not be, I might reveal who the killer is. I
Ooh.
might also reveal who survives. So I'm going to answer your question by simply saying there is no way I would wish to crash land in the middle of the Mexican jungle. And if I did, I wouldn't want to be with any of these people.
Well, which no, I can't ask you that too, because you might give it away subconsciously. But would you be a good survivor in the jungle? Do you think so?
Um, Wow, what an interesting question. I think there are so many dangers in this series, not just from the people on the plane, but from things happening outside the plane, which includes sort of terrible animals and snakes and spiders and downpours of the weather. I think I would be the worst survivor of all. In fact, in a way, if I was in this trapped in this plane, I'd almost want to be the first victim just to get it over with, because I'd hate every minute of it.
Yeah. What's one thing you would hope would be in your suitcase, though?
When if I was on this particular series, an automatic machine gun would be quite helpful. I think, or something to protect myself with. But what I would want more than anything else, I guess, is some kind of communication system to get me out. And incidentally, that's also a big part of what they're trying to do in this show is communicate with the outside world, which they sort of eventually do, but it takes time.
Yes. And why did you want it to be within 6 episodes in like a mini series vibe?
I think six is a terrific number. I mean, sometimes some shows I watch go to 13 or long, and they're great. I think you just know how, for an audience to stay with these characters in the jungle in a very claustrophobic setting with a lot of violence happening. I think there's only so much of that you might want to take before you're given the answer to the questions and the final twists and the surprises. So I thought that six was exactly the right amount of time. And 6:46 is a comfortable, we talk about people these days are busy. Young people have a much shorter attention span. I think let's move quickly and get to the fun, get to the violence, get to the surprises, get to the surprise reveal, and get to the final credits, and then go do something else.
Also true. Well, thank you. I really appreciate taking time to talk to you, and I can't wait to talk to you about future projects.
You're very kind. Thank you.
Awesome.